I've had a lot of new followers subscribing to me on my YouTube channel recently, and one of the number one things that I hear, and it's holding a lot of new resellers back, is it's too competitive. It's too competitive to sell books on Amazon. There's too many people scanning books. There's too many people using Scout IQ, and FBA is so great that everybody's knowing and learning about it. And every time I go to the thrift store, there's so many scanners, and the thrift stores are raising prices and blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know if I should start this. Like, they haven't even started. And the truth is, this is gonna be kind of a rant video, so beware. If you guys don't know me, I've been selling books and board games and DVDs and all different types of items on Amazon for almost like 6 or 7 years now. I helped my mom to retire. You might have heard, she does $3,000 to $5,000 a month. My good friend Avery, if you guys aren't following him on YouTube, give him a subscribe. Romer the Romer, he did $1.3 million selling books. And the truth is, when it comes to books and even any other product out here, we can parallel this to eBay, Etsy, selling clothing, right, collectibles. The truth is, yes, it is becoming more and more competitive. There are more and more people who are reselling. Why? Well, probably number one, because inflation's going crazy, everything's getting more expensive, and people are struggling financially, and they're trying to find ways to make money. And with, the transition of Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 and everybody having smartphones and, all these social media platforms blowing up, people are learning about it. They're becoming exposed to these different ways to make money. So there is a lot more competition. But before you click off this video and freak out and say, oh, there's competition, like I don't wanna resell, I don't wanna sell books. First off, let me start by this. Competition's a good thing in a sense because it means that there's an opportunity. If there was no competition, you're either really early to the market and it's only a matter of time till people learn about it, or two, there's just no money to be made. The truth is, people have been selling books on Amazon for 10 years or so. The technology's gotten really good, or I would say probably over the last 5 years, and especially over the last couple of years. So there's money to be made. And yes, there is more and more people who are coming in, especially at thrift stores. There's only a certain amount of inventory there. But the good news, and this is really where I wanted to focus the material of this video on, is it is competitive if you're only doing one thing, but the people who are winning, the people like my friend Avery, who did 1.3 million, he thought of an idea outside of the box. Like, for example, he created a company called restrictedinventory.com, which is a great company. If you ever have a book that's restricted that you can't sell, most people pass on it, but he's got a special account that he's been grandfathered in, and he created a service where people send all the restricted books to him and he sells it on his account and then splits it 50-50. So that's how he's been able to do it, right? I have a couple friends of mine who have scaled their businesses by building connections with libraries. I have a friend who's in San Diego. Last time I talked to him a couple years ago, he had built relationships with, I think, over 20 libraries where he was selling all the books on their behalf and sending them to Amazon. And you might be thinking, well, why doesn't the library do it? Because they don't know how to sell on Amazon. It's a lot of work. It's a skill, right? Why don't you, dig a hole in your backyard and put a pipe go into another dwelling? You don't know how to do that, and it could be against the law. But with Amazon, it's complicated. So you knowing that skill, you can offer value to other companies. Libraries are just in the business of selling their books at the library, but he's created a service where he's able to get these libraries 2 to 3 times more profit because he's bringing them to a whole new market. So those are a couple examples. I have friends of mine as well who buy pallets. A great source I'd recommend is Pallet IQ, and you can get pallets of books shipped directly to you. The point I'm trying to make is the people who are focused on the competition and on, oh, there's so many people scanning and they're not willing to learn new ways to source and think outside the box, they are 100% going to lose eventually. Now, it doesn't mean they're gonna go out of business or they're not gonna still be able to make money, but if you do the same thing over and over and over again, your profits are just gonna slowly go down. Unless you're lucky and you've got a really good honey hole of a thrift store or a location, or you've got a secret way that people just haven't caught on to, you're good to go. But for the average person who was sitting there worried about competition and there's YouTubers and Facebook groups and all this information and there's more people at the thrift store, they're focused on things that they can't control. You can't control me posting videos or the other 10,000. You can't control the prices at the thrift stores. You can't control who learns about, you know, selling books and, you know, now they're going to your library sale or now they're going to your thrift store. But you could control your ability to find new avenues to source. What about building relationships with thrift stores and getting backroom access? I have friends who do that. What about building relationships with libraries, right? What about ordering wholesale, right? There's wholesale connections you could build with books or ordering pallets of books through Pallet IQ or any other source. What about clean out companies? What about building relationships with recycling companies who get hundreds of thousands of books? What about getting those book bins? You ever seen those donation book bins and setting those up around town? Of course, it creates, it costs more money and more capital, but that creates a whole opportunity for you that nobody else has. Why don't more people think outside the box? Why do people just sit there and complain and cry and say, oh, the market's saturated, this doesn't work? Because it's easy. It's really easy to be negative and to cry and complain because you're gonna get a bunch of suckers that just jump on board with that boat to make whoever it is who's doing it kind of look like a fool, right? It's easy for people to cry and complain and be negative and live in that poverty mindset, but it's a bit more challenging to build the habit and routine of always thinking resourcefully, trying to find ways to, you know, creatively source, to find ways to grow your business outside the norm, being stuck in that little box. So that's just a little advice that I want to give, you know, to anybody watching right now. If you're only gonna do one thing, if you're gonna be a one-trick pony, only going to a thrift store, I'm not saying you can't make money. You know, my mom, she's kind of like a 3-trick pony, I guess. You know, I'm like maybe a 7-trick pony. I have like 7 main ways that I do it, but there's probably about 50 different ways that I've sourced books over the years. The more the better. I mean, if you could find a couple things that are working well right now, I'm not saying don't go 100% in. Like if you're crushing thrift stores now, I would go in 100%, but always have backup plans when things, you know, when more competition comes in or things get slow or the thrift stores raise the prices. The outcome of your business, like your business growing or not, is in your control. It's not me, it's not, you know, the competition, it's you. Can you figure out a way to get more books, to get more products? Because these platforms like Amazon are beasts. The more you feed those beasts, the more they're gonna churn out those profits for you. But you gotta find ways to source. That's the biggest thing. So hopefully this video is able to motivate you. I didn't want it to come off negative, like I'm talking down to you. But there's so many people out there, it's crazy. As a YouTuber and, you know, someone who posts a lot on TikTok and Instagram, there's so many people who just doubt and complain and cry and say it's not worth it. And it's like, it's not worth it for you. It's not worth it for you because you're not willing to try anything new. You just want to sit there and cry and play the victim role because in society, I don't know why, but everybody rewards the victim. Everyone wants to feel bad for the victim. Nobody wants to take responsibility. But if you're willing to take responsibility and think outside the box and work your butt off, I'm telling you right now, it's definitely worth it to sell books and a lot of other items as well. So with that being said, if this video connected with you, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to learn more. And I appreciate you guys watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.